Hey guys, build report and sound demo for the Siberian Fuzz, which is pretty much a straight up Big Muff project. You can build one of the three Big Muff variants off this one PCB. And if you look in the build doc, you'll see there's three different bill of materials for each one, so you can choose which one you want to build. I built the triangle because I've already got a classic. You can build the classic, the triangle, or the Russian Sovtek. I've already got a classic, so I thought I'd try a vintage because, you know, vintage always sounds good. So we'll have a listen to that in a moment. And yeah, there's a page in the build doc again for about some modifications. Let's take a quick look at it. So you probably can't see what's on the screen anyway, but if you go to page 6, you'll see there's some modifications which Eric has put in the build doc. So have a read of that because it tells you some of the some easy mods that you can do to make your Big Muff a little bit different to everybody else's. So have a read through that, and as I said, there's 3 bill of materials for each one. So pick the bill of materials that you want. See, there's number 2. I'm looking in the camera screen, and number 3. So just pick whichever one you want, and then follow that one to get the Big Muff of your choice. So as I said, I went for the vintage Big Muff, and we'll have a look at that in a moment. And I did a little bit of a different finish on this one. Just talk about the physical appearance of it first. So now onto the actual pedal. We'll just quickly talk about the actual artwork on this one because it's a bit different to what I normally do. But firstly, just a couple of mistakes. The actual epoxy I kind of stuffed up. I must have stuffed up a little bit. Normally I don't have this problem. I've had wrinkles on the top before, but they end up sort of settling down. This one's got a bit of a bubble actually around that LED. You can see there's you might be able to see there's a bit of a raised bubble there. Not sure if that's going to cause problems down the track. If it does, I'm just going to tear it off and do it again probably. It'll probably just peel off because it's just like a sheet of plastic anyway. But yeah, that's something to sort of, I suppose, be wary of. The mixture has to be very accurate. I try and be accurate, but because I only did one pedal, it's only like 4 teaspoons of epoxy, so it's just easy to make a mistake. I think I used to just put a little bit of extra hardener in just to make sure that it actually hardens properly, because from what I've found, if it hardens quickly, it's not so much a problem. If it hardens slowly, you end up with problems. It still feels kind of a bit soft, and that was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So anyway, so that was a bit of a stuff up. See what happens with that in the future, if it's going to cause problems down the track. And just one of the knobs there, I just accidentally left a bit of an extra gap on that side there. You know, just a slight error. Now for the painting, that's just paint. I've just done two different colours, a gold and a purple, and just painted down, then painted up, and did it sort of roughly, a bit like dry brushing, I suppose, which gives it that effect. Looked pretty cool. I reckon this would look really cool if it was black and grey. You know, like it would look pretty spooky. These colours are kind of a little bit more feminine than I thought they'd actually turn out to be, particularly with the gold glitter. And that is gold glitter. I've just dumped that into the epoxy mix, and when I've put it on, which you can do, but just remember, if you're going to use a blowtorch to get bubbles out, you can't do that. This is new epoxy mix. I'm not getting bubbles in this epoxy mix, so I don't have to use the torch, so it's fine. But just be careful if you do embed anything into the epoxy. Just to be careful, because you might need to use a blowtorch or a butane lighter to get rid of the bubbles. And speaking of embed, you can embed stuff in here. You could put like a playing card, which would be pretty cool. I might actually do that one time, just like get a, you know, like a I don't know, King of Hearts or something like that, and put it on the top, you know, and then put the epoxy over the top of it. Just make sure you stick the card down, I guess, because I'm just thinking if there's nothing underneath, you have a problem like that, you might just end up peeling straight off because there's no adhesive underneath the actual card. So maybe stick the card down first and then epoxy over the top of it. So there's something else unique about this finish as well, something different that I've done, which I'm having trouble actually showing you in the picture. Oh, there you go. You can see the circular lines. It looks really subtle in the video, but it's actually, like, if you look at it, it's clear as I can see it very clearly in front of me. All I did for that was get a wire brush attachment for a drill, stick it in the drill press, and then just use it 3 times to cut these sort of scratch circles out in the finish. And then the paint kind of gets caught in the little holes in it, and in the little ditches, and it sort of accentuates the circular pattern on the front. For some reason, it just with all the reflection and sunlight going on in this room at the moment, you just can't see those. Well, I can't see them in this preview window, so I'm assuming you can't see it very well on there. But it looks pretty cool in the flesh. And again, if with different colors, it would probably look a little bit meaner and a little bit less feminine. So one other thing on the front here is these knobs. These are the ones I've got on my store. They're economy knobs. They're cheap, and you get, as you know, you get what you pay for. If you want something more professional, I highly recommend the ones I have. I know you see the knobs. These knobs, I think I've got them for like $2.50. It's like, oh well, I need 4. That's $10. That's a lot of money. AUD, you know, that's a fair bit of money to pay for knobs. They're $1 each, so that's going to cost you $4. Trust me, there is more than $6 difference between this knob and this knob. If you're a little bit fastidious about your aesthetics like I am, you're going to want to spend the extra on those. Those look so professional. If you don't care, just get any old knob. They're good enough for just, you know, if all you want to do is turn the dial, then just get whatever knobs, you know. I mean, they're good enough for just any old do-it-yourselfer that doesn't really care about aesthetics, you know. Like you might not even be painting it or doing anything. You just want knobs on there that you can turn. So yeah. Anyway, they're the economy ones. Without taking a microscope to them, they look pretty good as well. So I did the vintage Big Muff, and I'll just say now I didn't actually do much research on what a vintage Big Muff is, and as far as the sound goes, and to be honest, I actually like the classic Big Muff better than the vintage. So don't judge this product by this particular build, because if the vintage Big Muff isn't for you and you want more of like a Smashing Pumpkins, maybe like sort of a, well, Smashing Pumpkins was an op-amp Big Muff, but more of a modern sounding Big Muff, then don't, obviously, you know, that's pretty logical. Don't go for the vintage Big Muff if you want a modern sounding Big Muff, you know. But just have a listen to this one and see what you think, and then you can make your mind up which one you want. You could do some research on the different sounds of Big Muffs, you know, like just listen to some YouTube clips. You'll get the general idea of what one sounds like to the other, and then build the one that you think sounds the best. I do like the classic one. My other one's a classic Big Muff, and it gives you that wall of fuzz, which sounds awesome. This one's got a bit of an interesting tone to it, but see what you think anyway. Let's have a listen to it now. So I think I may have been a little bit harsh at the start of the video to say, you know, like don't judge the project on this one version, because the first time I tested it was on low volume when the kids were asleep just after I built it, and it didn't sound that good to my ear on low volume, but listening back to it now actually sounds pretty cool. It's pretty respectable. It sounds like a Big Muff with an unrefined tone control, which from my understanding of the history of the Big Muff is pretty much what a vintage Big Muff, a triangle Big Muff is. So yeah, it sounds pretty cool. If it's not your thing, if the tone response doesn't do it for you, then I would recommend, well, the only other one I've tried, well actually I think I built a Russian as well a while back. Anyway, the classic is the go-to. If you're not sure which Big Muff to build, usually I'd just point people to the classic. It's probably the crowd pleaser, and it has a bit more of a modern sounding frequency response. So anyway, that's the Siberian. I hope you liked the demo and the sound demo and the build report. Not very hard to put together. As I said in the other videos, we're specifically creating these to be competitively priced. So if you want one, check out the link. I'll leave a link below. You can get them in the DBE PCB section on my store. And yeah, just leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And yeah, hope you like the video, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.